Leftists run wild. They run wild, it seems, in our big urban areas, and they sometimes try to do that through our court system. Let's talk to our next guest about that and more. He is O.H. Skinner, Executive Director of the great organization, the Alliance for Consumers. How about that? There's an Alliance for Consumers out there so we don't just have to bow at the altar of big tech and other big corporations. AllianceForConsumers.org. O.H., good afternoon. Welcome to the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you're exactly right. You don't want to. We've learned long ago that everyday people can't rely on mega death corps to defend their rights, protect them from plastic straw bans, protect their dishwashers, any of it. Right? You got to have somebody who actually fights for everyday people.
Mm-hmm, indeed. O.H., we have a burning question. Chris and I have been taking bets on what O.H. stands for. We think it's we think it's Oscar Harold. Now, can you divulge that secret, or is that like a trade secret kind of thing?
Oh no, sure thing. Oramel Horace Skinner III, man. It's not a great name to have when you're in. Not a great name in elementary school. Let me just tell you.
Tim, we weren't even close.
That sounds very fancy. It sounds like royalty. Yeah.
I mean, it is, growing up in Indianapolis, Indiana, I didn't get to be royalty, but, it was a good name to have when I was at Harvard Law School. That's for sure.
Oh, I bet. We love the O.H. O.H., tell us, what is woke lawfare? What the heck is that? That sounds pretty terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, look, all of you guys see it on the front lines, right? Because you're out there talking to people and you see the public policy stuff that's happening. The left doesn't have control of Washington, D.C. anymore, right? But they've learned that they can try to thwart the president with all sorts of lawsuits. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? In doing that, they figured out another thing. What if we could just use courts to accomplish all the things that we were doing in D.C., right? So whereas before they would try to have all these product bans, all these things that they would try to impose out of the EPA, the Department of Energy, all these things they would try to do to get guns, all these things they try to do to take away your Super Duty truck and drive up your gas prices. Well, they figured out that they can go into courts all across our country, including in states that are otherwise very conservative, like your state, and they can bring a lawsuit and push and basically turn courtrooms into little printing presses that produce left-wing policy. And people can go to the ballot box, vote for a conservative legislature, vote for a conservative governor, and then they show up in stores, they show up at a car lot, and they can't buy any of the stuff that they want because the courts and the activists and the local governments and the woke trial lawyers have wiped it all off. That's their game plan now.
O.H., do we see a lot of judge shopping when it comes to this type of activity, or is it just widespread in all the courts?
I mean, yeah, they're smart. They're definitely targeting places where they think judges want to be. It's just like the lawsuits against President Trump, right? They're picking their courts best they can, but they also are pushing this in almost every state, right? So they're picking their courts within your state, but they're pushing this in all the states, right? So this is the one pony they have to ride for the next 3 years, right? Because we know that the president and his administration are in D.C. Keeping tabs on all the rest of it, right? But this is the pony that they can ride to try to get their Green New Deal dreams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, O.H., and just so for sake of full disclosure, I am an attorney, although I'm a recovering attorney. So, I've grown up and I've gotten better. I'm also a recovering politician. So I was a legislator here in Missouri. There's nothing, O.H., that drives me more nuts, and I still do a lot of work with our state legislature. Then nothing more drives me nuts than seeing a legislature elected by the people, and in Missouri we have a supermajority of Republicans and a Republican governor, and they spend an entire session working on something, and they know they're working on this particular item because they ran on it, like cutting taxes or protecting babies or whatever, and then they work all session long, and they go through all the pitfalls and the traps and the hurdles. And it gets, it's a piece of legislation. It takes 5 months to make sure it's as good as it can be, and they pass it. And then someone challenges it, takes it to the courts, and it gets thrown out like in a couple months. And I appreciate, O.H., the idea of the checks and balances, but it seems to be that the left has this attitude that the unelected judiciary gets to be the ultimate check, like the super check. And it's like, they're human beings too, and they also make mistakes, right?
Look, I'll tell you, I think it's worse than that. I think you're not being critical enough. They're suing, and you're saying they think that they're the ultimate check. That's just like what they're doing with President Trump, stopping our ideas, right? Now, what if I told you that they're going into court and they're bringing a lawsuit that's about climate change or about plastic straws or about one of these things, and their whole premise is to get a court order to take away access to guns, to take away access to plastic straws, to take away your ability to buy something on the market that you want so that you have to live a California lifestyle. Right? That's them going on offense. When I talk about woke lawfare, it's them going to court to reshape your life to look like you're a California weirdo, right? That is, and now I want to be clear, it's the same courts and the same judges. So you are very familiar with it because they're stopping all of the legislation.
Yes.
Right? But now imagine they go to the same judges and they go, hey, I got you one better. Instead of just being the ultimate check on the legislature, what if you could just like basically legislate from the bench and decide what people could buy or how they could live or whether a company has to have a DEI requirement, right? That's what they'll do. They'll bring these lawsuits and they'll lock in DEI funding. They'll lock in ESG funding. They'll do things that impose corporate racism. And the judges are signing off on it. The same judges who got real comfortable telling the legislature, no, thank you. Now they get to be like, well, I'm the legislator now. Right? So it's bad.
O.H., are there certain industries that are being targeted by these lawsuits over other industries?
Yes. I mean, you know it and I know it. Basically, the line we have is anything that is in your life that doesn't match a progressive lifestyle, they've got a lawsuit for that. So it's guns, it's cars, it's plastics, it's energy and oil and gas. These are their favorite targets because those are the absolute boogeymen for the left, right? You drive the wrong car. You own a gun. You dare to use too much plastic. You dare to have any sort of oil and gas product that's not an electric leaf blower, right? They've got lawsuits for all of that because it's all about ideological warfare, right? They're not just chasing the biggest paycheck out of a lawsuit. They're trying to make people change their behavior with the lawsuits. And that's why it's woke lawfare. It's not just like some trial lawyer wants a jet, you know. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when they're trying to control your life.
Speaking to O.H. Skinner, Executive Director, Alliance for Consumers, allianceforconsumers.org. O.H., one of the most unconscionable, scurrilous examples of this is something that's posted up on your website where you can go to the news items on this. It was an explosive report by the Washington Reporter whereby these 501c3 groups with really nice, cozy, comfy, cuddly names, they get something called the Reference Manual on Scientific Evidence. The judges go, I know how this works, O.H. They go to conferences, right? And they hand these things out, and then the judges take especially the woke leftist judges, take them back, and then sitting on their desk is the Reference Manual on Scientific Evidence. Explain what that is all about and how that has really damaged all of the decision making, especially in like the ESG world over the last few years.
Yeah, so I mean, look, this is a really good example of how the left thinks the courts are their answer, right? They never got the Green New Deal in Congress. Bernie never got his dream. And so now they're going around and they see climate change as the number one big ticket item. Because, you know, to the left, everything is climate change and climate change is everything. And so they've got all these lawsuits that try to tell the energy companies or anybody who contributes to climate change that they have to pay billions of dollars to undo climate change, undo global climate change. Like, just let that sink in. Well, how do they help win these cases? They go around to these little bureaucratic entities and these nice nonprofits, to the Federal Judicial Center, which is just this little bureaucratic think tank for the federal judges. And they start trying to tell them, here's this manual, here's this science, check out this stuff about how climate change works, because they don't want to leave anything to chance. So they're feeding information, trying to influence judges, trying to get them to see the world the way that the left sees it, because all they need is a couple judges to order $50 billion to get. Now, keep in mind, the $50 billion goes into a fund to feed into the left-wing nonprofit apparatus. All that stuff that Elon and Doge were cutting in D.C., where we turned out we knew our taxpayer dollars were funding all sorts of lefty groups. They want to put billions back into those same groups, taken from people who make products you like, funnel it into a left-wing machine, and you know what'll happen. Your state will get more liberal. Your courts will get more liberal. Your policies will get more liberal. And they think they've created a machine. And these little scientific manuals, these little trainings, these little informational briefings are all designed to nudge and push and indoctrinate the judges to do what the left wants, because they are that committed to it that they can't leave anything to chance.
O.H., we've discussed the tactics and the results of this lawfare. Do you have some reforms to prevent our courts from becoming ideological enforcement arms?
Yeah, I mean, look, the number one thing, and you're seeing this in more and more states. I mean, hell, in Missouri, you guys have legislation that's running right now. The most important thing to do is to just take away the picks and the axes that the left has. So you take away public nuisance lawsuits from them. You ban their local governments in your state from doing wild-eyed public nuisance claims. You limit it so they can't sue over licensed, regulated, lawful products, that you can only use these claims against things that are illegal. Because if you can prevent your local governments and crazy NGOs from bringing public nuisance claims, you take away their Bernie dream. You take away their Green New Deal dream. And that is like the number one defense measure. And then they can't bring these lawsuits. They can still sue your legislature over the laws, I want to be clear, but you at least take away their offense. You stop them in their tracks, and now they're going back to having to just do their defense. And that's something that, will take more reforms and court reforms and all these other things. But right now, today, there's bills in more states. Kansas has one, Missouri has one, Utah's dealing with it. The red states are waking up that this is how you shut down the lawfare.
O.H., before I let you go, any other charge for our listeners? Go to your website, right? Check things out there, participate in this, and get a hold of your state legislators, right?
Tell your state legislators that the lawfare's got to stop and that they need to do something about it, because they can. And when they do, you're going to feel a lot freer in your states. So thank you guys for having me on.
O.H., I do have one final question for you. I think you argue in the report that these lawfare tactics could boomerang on these groups. Explain how that could happen.
Well, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, these, it's helped us understand how dangerous some of these groups are, and it's helped us understand all of this. And so ultimately, it's something that allows us to really call them out because they've been so brazen. So I would say that the biggest thing is that they've been so brazen, they're trying to reshape our society so badly that now people have woken up. It's because they were so brazen that Missouri has bills introduced. It's because they were so brazen that Kansas and Utah is doing it. So, it's a good moment to act, and it's a good moment to score a win against the left.
Excellent indeed. Alliance for Consumers. How about that? There is something out there for us. AllianceForConsumers.org. We've been speaking with O.H. Skinner, the Executive Director of the Alliance for Consumers today. And O.H., this was a fascinating conversation. We'd love to have you back again soon sometime.
Sure thing, guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, sir.
You as well. My goodness, nearly 5:44 here.